Right, well, for our presentation, shall I start with the early life of Thor Heyerdahl? Sure, why don't you begin with describing the type of boy he was, especially his passion to collecting things? That's right, he had his dolls, the little museum, and I think it's unusual for children to develop his own values and not joining their parents' hobbies. I'm thinking of how Hazel wouldn't go hunting with his dad, for example. Yeah, he preferred to learn about nature by listening to his mother read to him. And quite early on, he knew he wanted to become an explorer. When he grew up, that came from his camping trips he went on in Norway, I think. No, it was climbing that he spent his time on as a young man. All right. After university, he married a classmate and together they decided to experience living on a small island to find out how harsh weather conditions shaped people's lifestyles. As part of their preparation, before they left home, they learned basic survival skills like building a shelter. I guess they needed that knowledge in order to live wild in a remote location with few inhabitants caught up by the sea, which is what they were aiming to do. An important part of your talk should be the radical theory Hazel formed from examining mysterious ancient carvings that he happened to find on the island. I think you should finish with that. Okay, alright, Victor. So after your part, I talk about Thor Heyerdahl's adult life, continuing from the theory he had about Polynesian migration. Up until that time, of course, academics had believed that humans first migrated to the island in Polynesia from Asia in the west. Yes, they thought that travel from the east was impossible because of the huge, empty stretch of ocean that lies between the islands and the nearest inhabited land. Yes, but Hazel spent ages studying the cloud movements, ocean currents, and wind patterns to find if it was actually possible. And another argument was that there was no tradition of large shipbuilding in the communities lying to the east of Polynesia. But Hazel knew they made lots of coastal voyages in locally built canoes. Yes, or sailing on rafts, as was shown by the long voyage that Hazel did next. It was an incredibly risky journey to undertake. Sometimes I wonder if he did that trip to private reason, to show others that he could have spectacular adventures. What do you think, Olivier? Well, I think it was more a matter of simply trying out his idea to see if migration from the east were possible. Yes, that's probably it. And poor guy suffered a bit at that time because the war forced him to stop his work for some years. Yes, when he got started again and planned this epic voyage. Do you think it was important to him that he achieved it before someone else did? I haven't read anywhere that was his motivation. The most important factor seems to have been that he used only ancient techniques and local materials to build his raft. Yes, I wonder how fast it went. Well, it took them 97 days from South America to the Pacific Island. And after that, Hazel went to Easter Island, didn't he? We should mention the purpose of that trip. I think he sailed there in a boat to make out the breeze. No, that was later on in Egypt, Olivia. Oh, yes, that's right. But what he wanted to do was talk to the local people about their stone cabins and then make one himself to learn more about the process. I see. Well, what a great life. Even though many of his theories have been disproven, he certainly left a lasting impression on many disciplines, didn't he? To my mind, he was the first person to establish what modern academics call practical archaeology. I mean, that they try to recreate something from the past today, like he did with his raft trip. It's unfortunate that his ideas about where Polynesians originated from have been completely discredited. Yes, right. Well, I'll prepare a PowerPoint slide at the end that acknowledges our sources. I mainly used The Life and Work of Thor Heyerdahl by William Oliver. I thought the research method he used were very sound, although I must say I felt the overall style somewhat old-fashioned. I think they need to do a new revised edition. Yeah, I agree. What about the subject matter? I found it really challenging. Well, it's a complex issue. I thought the book has lots of good points. What do you think of?